This is Phantom, the horse that started this channel 1 year ago. She's an ex-racehorse who came to me with, a variety of problems. Despite all that, within 6 months, I trained her to be this confident jumper you see here. But throughout that whole progress, her neurotic tendencies and movement issues always felt deeper rooted. I knew they traced back to the racetrack, I just didn't have confirmation. But then I met someone who groomed her at the track. And boy, do I have tea for you. Her history has been revealed to me, and some of the larger problems we've been having now make a lot of sense. Now that I know her history, I am retrospectively scared for my life. I'm really glad I didn't know this information while I was first restarting her. I simply just addressed the horse that was in front of me. It's almost a psychological science experiment that I played on myself. I'll give you a recap of how I trained her and overcame the problems, and then explain how my new information plays into all of this. Buckle up, it's gonna be an interesting one. For those of you who have been following this channel, you know that Phantom has been on a bit of a hiatus. She's been on the back burner for the last couple months while Nix has been going through all of his things. The time period worked out okay because Phantom had actually torn a tendon in the front of her leg. Here she's receiving some shockwave treatment on it, and it's quite loud and shocking. But she handled it like a champ. Fortunately, it was an extensor tendon tear, which is a lot less serious than a flexor. Light work is the best treatment because you do have to keep that tendon continuing to stretch in order to maintain the function. So thus is our 2 months of forced groundwork. And now I'm able to start riding her again. And so I thought, hey, what a great time to update you on where Phantom is in her training currently.
We're not jumping, I'll tell you that much.
As well as during this kind of weird waiting period, I found out all this new information having met someone who groomed her at the racetrack.
Beautiful, beautiful.
This information, guys, blew my mind. Like, it took me a while to process. My first response was, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. My second response was, but that's worse than I thought it would be. And my third was, oh my goodness, I can't believe I trained and got on this horse and rode her the way I did without like maybe some fear. I should have been a little more fearful. So then the more I thought about it, the more I was scared for my life, as in like in retrospect. So it's been an interesting thing for me to process. Overall, it's given a lot of answers to some training challenges. When I first got Phantom, she had been off the track already for 2 years because she was only purchased as a broodmare and she had a foal. And so she went through that whole thing. So I didn't know any information about her track history. And being someone who doesn't know a lot about racing, I didn't even bother looking into her racing history, which I should have, because now I understand that you can actually learn a little bit about your horse from how they did at the races. So I just went in totally blind. I just looked at her current movement. I watched her run around in a snowy pasture in the middle of winter and said, oh, sound enough. I knew because she was a broodmare and had one foal, I would have to do a lot of rehab to get her pelvis in action again. No matter what, having a baby is going to do something to your pelvis. So I was ready for that, and I knew, okay, having been a racehorse, of course she has associations with everything, being fast. Other than that, I was like, yeah, let's go. When I brought her home, right away, I noticed that I had a concerning problem that I didn't notice at all in my trial or in the previous videos, because her problem was this twisting hind leg. And the twisting hind leg only shows up on soft ground. On hard ground, it's really hard to see, and really hard to see on like straight lines, or if she's just going like horizontal to you. So you'd actually have to look at her going away from you. And because it was like -40, I didn't bother walking her away from me. And actually she was prancing and dancing around. So it was impossible for me to see this twisting hind leg action until I brought her home and I brought her into the indoor arena. She walked in the sand, and then I saw it. That hind leg twisted a lot. But me being me, I don't like going back on my decisions. So I was like, oh, I'll just see what I can do. I'm just gonna train her. So I did a bunch of research on, okay, why are these hind legs twisting? And it sounded like a lot of it is to do with more pelvis and then going down versus bottom going up. However, because of the pelvis issues, of course, then, everything trickles down the joints, and then, her hooves were unbalanced and blah, blah, blah. So just based on my visual looking at this horse, I knew, okay, we're going to do lots of physiotherapy, really get her strong before we even think about riding again. Our entire journey is documented on the channel, so go back, take a look at all of our learning, and don't forget to like and subscribe. This is where we're at right now. Look at how strong this trot looked. This was an exercise that was really hard for her at the beginning. She would scramble, step on herself, trip, head would be in the air. This is during our rehab, these last couple of months. You can barely see any rotation or twisting of those hind legs while moving laterally at a trot in the sand.
It's like she had a little neck adjustment or something. She's like, this is good.
I think she liked that exercise. Now this is back in time to show you again how that leg started. Watch that left hind and how much it rotates and twists. It almost looks like it's gonna like corkscrew and pop off. Here again, early training days when I first got her last winter, watch that left hind. Notice it go whoop, out to the side, whoop. It was incredibly unstable. And again, this is coming from the top of her body down, pelvis down. Now, this is today, again, you can barely see any rotation in that hind leg. Isn't that incredible? That's the physiotherapy. It has taken quite some time to build a horse that is strong, but it was worth it. Now look at this. This is current, guys. See the freedom, and now you can further appreciate it when you see how awkward she was at the start just walking. So I spent 3 months strengthening this horse and preparing her for her first ride. I'm so thankful that we did take it slow because her first ride went way better than I could have ever hoped. And at the time, I didn't know how badly her last ride, the last time she was ridden at the track, had went.
I know you're misinterpreting this as the go cue. Woo. Okay, just need a little everything break. Yep, good job. Good girl. Hey. Oh, good girl. Yeah.
There, tension release.
A little bit of neck drop. Yes, tension, release, and off.
Here she had a little mini panic, which have been reminiscent of the track, but notice how I'm able to get her back by turning her in the movement pattern we had practiced.
Good job.
And knowing what I know now, that would have been an explosion with a jockey. How good is this first mount? Little spoiler alert here. One of the things I found out is that you could barely get riders on this horse, let alone keep the riders on this horse. And I did not know this on our first ride day, and I did not know this for many months to come. But I look at this as a blessing because look at how calm she is on her first ride, and she's moving and acting in a way which is nothing like what she knew of her life at the track. She even had the leg yield button and could move sideways on her first ride.
Through the snow. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're good. That's what I say. It's worth it. And softly, you train them first, and then you get on them, and they got buttons, man.
And here's our first trot under saddle. It's so crazy to look back on it now with this new lens.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Wasn't that so good? That was so smooth. And like the long neck. She feels really good. She's broke. Okay, let's do one more trot and then you're done.
Ha! Isn't that so funny? Here I am thinking this is going well. Little did I know the last time a person was on her, she probably put that person in the dirt 2 years ago.
Breathe and you are done. That was so good.
Problem number 2, she's definitely neurotic and herd bound, which I didn't really surprise me being a track horse. I'm like, that's fine. Where we started to have interesting problems was when I finally rode her for the first time outside. You know, of course she was a little bit tense, but then she started to kind of run sideways through her shoulder towards the gate in a very intentional, I am getting out of here type of way. I guess I have ridden enough horses now to be able to quickly go, oh, this is a behavior the horse is trying out, or, oh, this is a behavior the horse knows gets them X, Y, or Z. And I could right away identify that Phantom knew how to run home with a rider and to get a rider off. I could feel that if I were to say, no, Phantom, you're not going to the gate, that she would have started rearing. I could feel that. And so what I did, instead of like, say, you're not going to, I kind of just held my position and said, no, I'm not going that way, I'm not going away, while I let her run sideways to the gate. Then when I got to the gate, I got off and I worked her there and then took her away from the gate, rest point and so on. That was my first indicator that her buddy sourness was perhaps more severe than what I had originally assessed. So I worked on that on the ground and I did my program, and I'll do like a buddy sour program another time to show you kind of what I did. And then that didn't really happen again on my property. Then right away I took her off property to another clinic, and she did a little bit of it, but it wasn't so bad. And I think it's because I hauled her there by herself, so she didn't have like the buddy sour feeling. But then the next time I hauled her off property, I took her with a group of friends, and then she was really hard to ride, and it was very discouraging. And she gave me the feeling like, Sherilyn, if you say no to me, I will rear. Very like stuck in behaviors that she has learned work. And it was a horrible feeling. We kind of had to meet in the middle on things. It was discouraging. But in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, this herd separation thing and then being out in the open, I understand that that's going to get her thinking more about the track life and that. I don't like this. This is quite a big problem. And I took her to a few more events throughout the summer, and anytime it was a group dynamic where maybe a horse ran off in front of her, we would have big problems. Or if we were all kind of working on our own thing within the framework of a group, it was okay. But then if there was a group of horses far away, now that was a problem, and we would be really panicking and acting up. By the end of the summer, I was feeling discouraged with how nice of a horse I could have at home or in an environment where everyone was kind of doing their own thing. Anywhere where it's kind of like a herd feeling, where she was in a group or behind a group, or horses took off in front of her, then she kind of get like off to the races, so to speak. And it was discouraging. But then at the end of the summer, I met her groom. And this is where it all made sense. He said, oh, I know Phantom Power. And I was like, tell me everything and don't hold back. Like, if she was great, tell me she's great. But if she was terrible, tell me she's terrible, because I just want to know what she is. I have my suspicions, but I want to hear from you. So I didn't tell him anything about where we were at in the training, because he'd never seen me ride her. He knew nothing about her. He just, saw us standing in the pasture and, recognized her. So here we go. He said she was an absolute nightmare. An absolute nightmare. First off, he said you could barely groom her. You couldn't even touch her. It was really hard to even saddle her. She was really owly in the stables. You couldn't, and I don't really understand this because I don't understand the tracks. You couldn't put the jockey on in the stable. Do they do that? Or is it just like, I don't know. You people that know things, you comment and tell me how this works. You couldn't put the jockey on in the stable. You had to put them on outside somewhere. And then good luck getting her to the racetrack. He said you couldn't get her to the track unless you had a pony horse. And I have noticed this because when I was riding, and if I was like side by side with another horse, it was all good. But as soon as that horse like started to take off in front, not good. He said she was the horse of the track that came back all the time with no rider on her. So there we go. There's already a few of my confirmed things. She learned how to get rid of her riders, and she learned how to run back to the barn. And those are behaviors she did to me. Then I asked him, if you were to recommend, myself to buy a horse that would go be a good jumper, 10 being the best recommendation from your, the horses you're seeing at the racetrack, and 0 being the worst, where would you rate Phantom? He said a 3. So now I'm rewinding all these scenarios where in my head, I felt like I might die. And you know what? In reality, I might have. Isn't that neat? So when she spooks in this like really rough, fast, and skittery kind of like jarring way. And we've been working on that with the TRT and, training her. When you're worried, why don't you just move in this way? And she does start to incorporate now. Like this is all so much better now. But I had ridden some of those real jarry spooks where, boy, I was very thankful I had a neck strap and that I was kind of ready for it, because I could see how she would get rid of people, and especially if she was in like the heightened state of mind, because a lot of my training is, let's come here, let's come here. So I'm not letting her live in like woohoo land for too long, although she could get there. So it's fascinating to think, well, first off, I wouldn't have bought her knowing any of this. No, I was just like, no, that sounds dangerous, nah. But I did. Okay, so it's like a science experiment, because now we get to see how not knowing a horse's past and just simply addressing what's in front of you, because that's all I had was what's in front of me. And then taking it from here to here on a program. In the end, like, I got a lot of things done. We had a lot of successes. We're still not finished. There's still areas I need to get sorted, and as soon as the weather is nice, we are going to be going to town addressing this herd separation. Because I think there's a lot of good things about this horse. She seems to actually love jumping. When I'm lunging her, she aims at jumps that I'm not trying to aim at. And even when I'm riding her, she's like, is that the one? Like, she's been so confident with all that. She seems to love me. When I drive up to the arena, she hears my truck and she's coming to the gate. I can call her, she comes to the gate. Phantom loves being groomed. At the beginning, I couldn't touch her. I knew that. It was just kind of like Nick's. I just knew I'm not gonna be brushing this horse for a couple months because we got problems. But I just changed her associations with, hey, touch can feel good. And then I started doing a lot of massage, a lot of body work, and all of a sudden now this horse is just like comes in and asks for a scratch on the wither or moves along so that you can get wherever she wants you to scratch. Like, she is a puppy dog now. It's just this like dynamic of the group of horses that this is the next piece of the puzzle. So that's the tea I wanted to spill so that you're kind of caught up to date with Phantom in that sense. But there is one other piece of this puzzle that I also uncovered kind of around the same time frame, and it's more of a health concern. So make your guesses. What do you think it could be? This health concern is something that, again, having not known it at the start, I wouldn't change what I did. But now it gives me more insight into why she probably behaved the way she did on the track, and also why she does certain things now. But it's fascinating because we've actually made serious gains in this health issue that my vet didn't believe we would make. And she was impressed at our latest visit. So next week, we'll be back on to Phantom again. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode where I will disclose what this mysterious medical problem is. Before I sign off, I just want to say thank you all for all your kind comments about Nick's and how his progress is going. I did say this to a lot of you that sometimes it's hard for me to see on the day-to-day because, you just wonder, am I making progress? I don't know. And then for you guys to go, hey, no, we're seeing it too. Oh, that helps me so much. So thank you so much. And then thank you to you guys who wanted to donate and did. That to me is amazing. You guys have paid for some of Nick's medications now, and it's a blessing. So thank you. You know who you are. Thank you so much. If you're still wanting to donate and you weren't able to find the link, I will get my husband, the tech guy, to put it here somewhere or there. I don't know. It'll be on the screen. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time on Fields and Fences.